Welcome to the DORKLAIR live stream. We have a very special episode tonight. We have a guest, Jesse DeStasio or DeStasio.
It's chef's choice. Whatever you think sounds spicier is fine by me.
Of Toy Pizza, Knights of the Slice, and we've lost Larry tonight. Larry is unfortunately doing some electrical work on his house.
Larry has passed. Everyone, I'm sorry to announce that Larry has passed. We're all very shooken up about it. But good guy.
Yeah. He texted us and said don't hire the rookie electrician, because he said he's doing all the work himself, and he posted a picture of a chandelier of all things, so he's getting fancy with his new house apparently. Chris, what's going on, man?
Not much, just back from traveling. We went for 3 weekends in a row, more or less, or I don't know.
That's a lot.
Stretch, but we went to Arizona, Colorado, and then New Jersey. So all down traveled out.
Nice. You're breaking up a little bit.
I'm sorry to tell everyone, Chris has also passed. We've lost Larry. We've lost Chris. It's a very sad day. Oh, he's back. He's alive.
I'm gonna restart or do some stuff while we're just in the beginning.
Go ahead.
Just to rejig this.
So while Chris is restarting, we're gonna focus. We're gonna talk about Glyos, and we're gonna talk about like indie toy making and art today. And so we're gonna kind of heavily focus on that. I just want to run through just a couple items that are kind of in the news. I did want to mention that Hedgehog Jonathan sent me the red shirt Casey Jones. He texted me, he said, I found it in store.
And I said,
NECA? Yeah, this is the NECA, the Mirage line. And he's like, I found it in store. Do you want it? And I said, you know what? It's almost LegionsCon. I'm going to hold off. And then he bought it for me and sent it as a gift. And I'm thrilled.
Nothing's free, Bill. He is going to expect something out of you. Okay,
yeah.
He's going to come a calling with a favor,
right?
And it could be anything. It could be.
He'll need me to. Dark. Yeah, need me to help co-host his show. Hey, the straight poop is here. What's up, Chris? Yeah, I'm a little. I got my
Luden standing by because I'm.
Oh, let me grab one of those.
Yeah, here
Thank
you go.
Yeah, thanks.
There you go.
I don't know if this is related, but I got my booster shots for flu and COVID the other day. And yesterday I was just, they always crush me. I always feel like I have a fever that day. And they always send me for a loop.
Just got vaxxed. Chris and Larry, and they're dead now.
They're dead. Yeah, I shouldn't have done it.
Rest in peace. Sorry to tell everyone. The vaccine altered their DNA. They're dead now. Sorry. I'm the new permanent co-host.
Yeah. You might be the main host now too.
Could be.
And so a couple little toy news things. One, the most recent thing that I just hit my mailbox today, a long awaited figure that another probably 2+ year wait. The Mezco Gotham by Gaslight Batman is shipping soon, charging on the 30th. And then the way they roll out, who knows, it might ship in December, but it's charging soon at least. So that's around the corner. And there's the Mafex Daredevil. If anybody hasn't seen that, go check that out. Again, I don't have any slideshows or anything, but that's another figure that looks pretty good. A lot of people are talking about it. Some people are saying it looks a little thin. I disagree with that, but yeah, it looks like a pretty good one. And I think that's kind of all the main news. The Galactus, or not Galactus, the HasLab Giant Man went nuts on the last day and funded and hit a stretch goal and almost hit the final stretch goal. But yeah, the Gotham by Gaslight Batman does look really good, and it's got that crazy wing, foldable wing structure glider thing. But yeah. All right. Let's see who else is in the chat here. We have got, first comment was Dave Orkin at 7:36 p.m. Michael Casper in the house. Rick Emmert. Joel. Trevor's here. What's up, Trevor? Cyber Rat. Angel. Chris. Steve. Hand pink waving. Those are the emojis that we can't see on StreamYard.
Oh, I'm sure they're lovely, though.
Yeah. Kiki Gem. A Squire of the Slice. Kiki Gem in the house.
That's what I like to see.
There you go.
Those are my people.
Blake's here. Who else have I missed? Anyone else? Tom. What's up, friends? What's up, everybody? And Everett. Whoops, Everett. And Kevin Dufresne with the super chat. Jesse is one of the OG Glyos guys. Were you there for the Glyaxia 3 a.m. drop that one time? Whole lot of us hanging around the forums late, early morning.
Yes, and great job pronouncing that, by the way. A lot of, I'm always chastising Matt Dowdy because a lot of his, character names are, they're tongue twisters. But yeah, there's a great tradition of camaraderie when drops are running late. You all kind of, post memes and pass the time, whittle something out of ivory.
So that's a thing, huh?
It is
the late drops.
Not for me. I'm kind of like a noon guy. I don't want to be up late.
Yeah.
So I kind of, I think noon is reasonable because, you expect LA they should be starting their day. And if you're East Coast, then you're wasting time at work or on your lunch break. So it's kind of works out, I think.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good time. I think my guess is that might be kind of why Mezco does 1 p.m. drops. I mean, besides the fact that it's like it's right in the middle of their workday, but like that is a good time for things to release. And then Joe gifted 10 DORKLAIR memberships. And I can't remember. Somebody figured it out last time. I think they're handed out randomly to people, or do they get to claim them? I forget what happens with that.
I've never streamed on YouTube directly before. I do Twitch a bunch.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing? Gifted 10 sounds like a good
thing. Yeah. So like memberships, it's like $1 a month, and
gotcha.
and it gives access to like these various emojis that we can't see on StreamYard, but everybody who's watching can see the various emojis. And then you get like a special icon, and then I can do member exclusive streams and posts and videos. I can like post a video early and the members can see it early and stuff. So there's a few little perks for that $1 a month kind of thing. And so that's 10, memberships. Like, so 10 people get a month of it for free or paid for by Joe. So thank you, Joe.
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks,
that.
Joe.
Oh, I see KJ is here in the comments. That's one of my guys. Hey, KJ, how are you?
KJ Smith.
That's right.
Nice. The other Jesse.
I mean, there's a couple Jessies in the industry. Could be Jesse Falcon. I think that's it. There's only 2. There's me and him.
Now, Guys Not Dolls is saying Chris is resurrected. That's what it's that guy.
Yes.
Chris, so we'll see if
he is not passed. I misreported that.
Sorry.
See if it hangs in there with the stream there.
Yeah.
Great to see Glyos creators on here. Simone sent me. This is the Mighty Maniacs. I don't know the name of this guy, but like he sent me a couple of
Rock'em Toys.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesse Moore is the other Jesse in Glyos. Yes, correct. His beard is longer than mine though.
So he has that on you.
Mm-hmm. So would it be helpful to do a primer on Glyos? Because I know there's this is a new thing to a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure.
I could be your guide. I could be your spirit animal. in regards to this.
Take us through.
So for those uninitiated, the Glyos system is a sort of universe that a lot of independent creators exist in. And it was designed by Matt Doughty, who was just kind of tinkering in his garage, making robots out of scrap metal and urethane and all, or a true sort of homebrewed sort of creation. And he eventually moved on and got it produced over in China and started to invite people to kind of play in that world. And all of the different toy lines, there's, in excess of 15 of them, probably close to 20 at this point. They all have the same peg system, the Glyos system. And so theoretically, you can interchange all of the limbs, all of the parts in, amongst all these different lines, all these creative visions. And it is a line that's endured for, well over a decade now. And it is hell on thumbs, as it's being pointed out. There is a lot of sort of tactile kind of play that you have to do, and you're jamming things together.
Yeah.
But it's extremely satisfying, and it is kind of a limitless creative world, because you can take, one of my Night of the Slice characters, you can take that Mighty Maniacs that you have right there, and you can kind of kit bash them together and create something entirely new. And as being pointed out here, the Four Horsemen started out with the OSM line, and that was a Glyos compatible line. And so there's always been a sort of strong connectivity between the Four Horsemen and Matt Doughty and, the various Glyos makers. But, we were talking about this a little bit before we started streaming. I'm very bored by everything happening in the mass market and with the DC and the Marvel and the Star Wars. I feel like I have to, before I make any purchase, I have to say, do I already own this? Do I already have, an animated He-Man figure? I think I do. I don't know that I need to buy this one. Do I already have this G.I. Joe figure? Do I already have this Star Wars figure in various scales? And the only things that kind of excite me in this hobby nowadays are things that are created by sort of people with a single vision, whether it's Matt Doughty and the sort of O'Neill design proper Glyos, or, any of the various creators. That's the stuff I think is worth tracking down, worth having some, triggering some joy in you, because it is unique and it is sort of an original creation for the most part, instead of just kind of like pressing the button on the style guide and stamping the Disney logo on another piece of plastic that kind of just litters the shelves for a little while. So I'm very excited for this show coming up on Saturday, because it's going to be really a meeting of the minds between a bunch of independent creators and this whole cadre of artists from Japan that are, like our sort of foreign exchange students in a way. They're, very close to the brotherhood of O'Neill design and the greater Glyos universe. So I hopefully that made sense for people that are unfamiliar with Glyos, but
Yeah.
It's definitely worth a deep dive. And if you're like me, when you find something new that is exciting, you really want to do it. You want to go down the rabbit hole. You want to watch videos on it. You want to watch reviews.
Yeah.
You want to read the lore. If you've never heard of Glyos before, and this sounds remotely interesting, you're going to have so much, fun homework to do to really learn about all this. And generally the community's pretty great too. People are very helpful. There's trades all the time and people selling older figures. So I think in many ways we become kind of passive consumers. We just click pre-order and we click one-day shipping, and it gets here and it sits in a box and whatever. It's not, it's not memorable. For the Glyos lines, it's like, well, if you want an older style, you got to track that down. So maybe you got to spend a little time in the community, find out who the movers and shakers are, find out, who's liquidating their collection, and burn a couple calories. That's completely missing from the hobby at this point. It's like, okay, you watch a Hasbro stream on Friday, you pre-order something, it ships in 6 months, and you get it, and you make a review video, and it's just like it's going through the motions year after year.
Yeah.
But here it's like it's a little more interesting. It's a little bit more like what the hobby used to be in pre-internet era, or even like early eBay, early like RTM message board sort of art collecting. So
Yeah. Kevin Dufresne says Phaedon and Thanos need to come to Cosmic Legions.
Yeah, those are Matt Dowdy's sort of core characters. That's a better question for him and the Four Horsemen, but I'd certainly like to see it as a fan of, all three of those ingredients, whether it's Phaedon or Thanos and the Four Horsemen.
Yeah. Cool. And then he said, and then KJ added Calgrim also.
Yeah,
is that enough?
Calgrim is Jesse Moore's creation. So Matt Dowdy and Jesse Moore are, like thick as thieves. I think they were, they went to college together, if I'm not mistaken. And it's at Jesse's sort of shop that the Game of Hope is happening this Saturday.
Okay.
They're sort of working hand in hand to bring all these wonderful Japanese artists over and, make a little room for us Glyos makers as well.
So that's Game of Hope, and that is actually conveniently about a half hour away from me. So I'm going to try to make it over there. Weather dependent, I may need to do some yard work. The weekends have just been like raining every weekend, but I could hop over there for an hour or something, I think.
I think it would be worth it just for the fact that the ability to see Gokodo or Realhead or Uamu or any of these Japanese artists, it's extremely rare that they're over here. Some of them come out for Designer Con, but this is going to be a really sort of unique thing. And, I haven't seen, I think the last time I saw those folks was like Super Fest in Japan in October 2019, like right before the virus sort of hit in a big way. I was just in China the week prior to that in Dongguan, like near Ground Zero. And I, came back just a few months shy of it hitting here. And, and then everything was fine after that. Not a big deal.
So you mentioned Designer Con. Are you going to be at Designer Con this year?
I don't know. I have a booth reserved, but I've just been rolling it over every year. And it feels like I've been on a crazy sort of event schedule for quite some time, because I also play in a band. My band will be at Game of Hope performing. So I've been like doing events and shows and doing live music and running my own crowdfunding campaign. And I'm feeling a little exhausted, a little tapped out. So the premise of getting over to LA in December and sitting at a table for a long weekend, it's it's a tall ask for me at this point. So I don't know. I think like the half measure might be to just go and just attend the show as a fan and say hi to people. But even getting over there and everything else, the odds are not in my favor currently. So.
Yeah, I mean that is a trip. Like I've only even been to the West Coast one time in my life. Like to me, it just feels like such a big commitment.
Well, you know what? You're not missing anything. The burritos are not very good.
Okay.
Chris.
I'm sorry. Yeah, they're
Chris
true.
is in San Diego.
Yeah.
Okay. They do it. They do burritos right over there because I mean this might be more LA proper, but the addition of potatoes to a burrito, it's magnificent. That should be standard, and that's not an East Coast thing. We're like miserable Puritans, so like the idea of thin gruel is like a treat for us. It's not, we don't appreciate the cuisine of the West Coast.
Yeah, I was excited to see that. Yeah, Four Horsemen is going to Legion. What do you call it? Not Legions. Designer Con, because I was thinking about going. I'm like, all right, I'll probably definitely go this year.
And then, so some people are talking about LegionsCon, and there's going to be the mini GlyCon at LegionsCon. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I would say LegionsCon is like a really bright spot of the year. In some respects, I think LegionsCon feels like DesignerCon used to feel to me. Because DesignerCon used to be a small show in Pasadena, and you could kind of walk everywhere, and you could see the city a little bit, and then do what you needed to do at the convention. Since it moved to Anaheim, it's expanded. It's gotten massive. It has all these big sponsors, all these like branded booths, and it's in Anaheim, and you're kind of sequestered, off in that area. So LegionsCon is kind of like it feels like a nice local show in some respects. But we had a great time there, and I don't think we knew what to expect or what the reception would be, because largely Glyos figures are smaller scale. Mine are 4-inch, and then everyone else's are kind of much smaller than that even. And obviously Legions is kind of 6-7 inches, that scale. But it was wonderful. It was positive. I think I was struck by the sheer amount of craftsmanship and creativity in the sort of makers that the Legion heads. I don't know. Is there a term? Legionnaires?
Legion. Yeah, I think
that sounds like a
refer to
disease,
us
though.
as
That's not great
Legionnaires.
branding.
There's
But any-
Ballers. Do they go by that?
the Cabalers, because the
Caballers.
Cabal is such a big part of the community. Yeah, but that's like ballers,
Yeah, there's a negative connotation there. But yeah, like seeing little light up torches, and I bought a kind of a Bloodborne-esque head, to modify the Legions figure I picked up. Like, that's wonderful. Like I think that's kind of what elevates this beyond just a empty sort of commodity into like a community and something that's a little more interesting, and getting like a personalized piece that you can outfit your figure with. It was very inspirational, and I was like, damn, how do I get my fan base to be this big? I'm deeply impressed.
Well, there's a lot of the same ingredients, There's this big customizable aspect. And I mean, obviously that comes from Glyos, like their initial intention to do Legions as a 4-inch Glyos line, and then, kind of bringing that modularity to it. Like, I think that's a big part of it. And then, of course, like just the tight community. It really is pretty. I mean, it's big, but it feels very intimate, or I don't know. It just feels like such a nice little kind of small group of people still.
Yeah. And, I don't know, there may be some people in the chat that don't know this, but I was lucky enough to do a figure with 4 horsemen. That's the Gauss armor that you had showed earlier. So we have sort of like officially crossed over and collaborated. And that was a wonderful experience. And frankly, it's been my best selling figure to date. So, I have a lot of affection. I started in this industry over 20 years ago, and my first counterpoint was George Gaspar, who obviously, is one of the, I guess it's like 8 horsemen now at this point, honestly. But I was just kind of an unpaid intern, working for a company making Lord of the Rings figures. George was at Gentle Giant, and he was my contact, and inevitably any prototypes that got broken by us, we would have to send to him to get repainted or fixed or whatever the case may be. So, I've always, and the Erics too have always been nice, and Bill Mancuso's a real sweetheart. So as I've sort of navigated through this industry, I've seen them go from just being, McFarlane employees to spinning off on their own thing, to the He-Man years, to, what I think is probably the single most successful independent toy line out there. And it's exceptional, and it couldn't have happened to nicer people. So the only problem is I don't collect 6 or 7 inch figures. So,
right. And so speaking of Four Horsemen team. We've got the Straight Poop with the $20 super chat over here. Wow. It was a life-changing experience to hang out with Matt and Jesse late night at PowerCon and hear their stories.
Now, this must be Jesse Moore because I wasn't at PowerCon. This is
okay.
the third Jesse of the
Okay.
industry.
All right. But yeah, so there's Chris, and then we got Reynolds Cruz. Can't wait to hang out and make some new friends.
I'm full up. I got too many friends. I'm actually looking to I will give you some of my friends because I can't. I'm on too many group chats. Everyone's trying to play Sea of Thieves with me. I don't need it. I need less friends. So Reynolds, I'm gonna gift you a couple people. They're not great, but they're decent people.
Keeping the good ones for yourself.
Yeah, of course.
The Forge collection, Reynolds Cruz, was one of those artists at LegionsCon last year with custom heads, and I mean he sculpts, he paints, he does it all. It's some awesome stuff, and he and I have done some giveaways and stuff on the channel. Just awesome dude, super generous and just incredible artist.
Very cool. Well, I look forward to seeing him at LegionsCon.
Yeah. And yeah, okay. So what was I gonna just ask you? I was gonna ask you, can you talk a little bit about how you what is Toy Pizza? What is Knights of the Slice? What is this company? Yeah.
Yes. So, boy, where do we start? Toy Pizza started as a YouTube channel, and we were a co-production of Frederator Studios, who did Adventure Time, Castlevania for Netflix.
Okay.
Big animation studio, multimedia, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just sort of like, I was pushing for there to be a toy show on the multi-channel network. And I tried to draft people to do it. Like I approached George. I was like, hey, you should do this for this network on YouTube, and it would be great. And at the end of the day, I just sort of ended up having to do it myself with an editor and co-host, Nikki, and another co-host, Cade. So we kind of launched at the right time because there was a lot of new development deals in the YouTube world, and they were spending a lot of money to generate new content. So we launched a channel pretty quickly. We hit 25,000 subs, and we were making good money. It was like a really awesome, interesting sort of way. It's probably about 9 years ago. Mm-hmm. Pretty quickly after that, they changed the algorithm, and they started favoring channels like news channels that would upload 9 videos a day, and it completely dropped off. And it was like, we're losing money every time we make a video, essentially. But we had launched a Kickstarter for the Knight of the Slice toy line, and the Knight of the Slice was sort of the mascot, the sort of Sonic the Hedgehog of Toy Pizza, and it was kind of an homage to tokusatsu shows from the 80s from Japan. And it was a successful Kickstarter, and pretty soon, like, the toy line was running parallel to running the channel and making videos and things like that. Initially, the toy line was not going to be Glyos compatible. It was just going to be a 4-inch kind of almost like a reaction line. I actually had a very purposeful vintage look to packaging, and I was going to just do Kenner. And then, of course, Brian Flynn announced the Alien figures coming out in the reaction line, and I was like, I can't do any of that. He's going to do it way better. So, I'd met Matt Dowdy many years before, and at the final hour, he's like, you should bring this into my factory, and we should make it Glyos, and it'll be great. And he was right. And so we continued on making YouTube videos. I continued on more working on the product side of things. And then the YouTube algorithm changed yet again and got even worse. So with, 26,000 plus subscribers, 100 people were seeing our videos, and it was a really humiliating sort of feeling.
Right.
So around the same time, I left the city. Nikki left the city. He got married. He started having many kids. And so I kind of went off to just work on the toy line. He went off to just do video editing. And I found a good place with Patreon. So a lot of my video content and reviews and thoughts on the toy industry, that's all on my Patreon, patreon.com/Jesse DeStasio. And
link in the description below. All the links are down there. So if people want to check that out, it's all there.
Excellent. So the idea of Toy Pizza and the sort of editorializing of the toy industry and collectibles, that has shifted to Patreon, and it's been largely a sort of solo effort. And the toy line has grown to be massive. I mean, my full-time gig is just working on Knights of the Slice and Patreon, thankfully.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm one of the rare artists that are sort of living off of, their artwork. So, I continue to, love being in the Glyos universe, and I'm always tempted to, when I see the beautiful 6-inch and 7-inch figures that Four Horsemen make, I'm like, man, one day I got to tackle that scale. But I know the second you do that, the cartons you ship everything in become 10 times bigger. You're not air freighting anything anymore. It's going by boat. It's
right.
The management, the logistics of shipping something that can fit in a first class envelope versus something that needs its own box is exponentially bigger. And so I've been a coward in moving into that scale. I will stick to the sort of 4-inch and kind of eke out my living, as it were.
But you did dabble in the 6-inch a little bit with the collaboration with 1000 Toys.
Yeah, see, that's the way to do it. Outbound licensing, right? Let somebody else handle that sort of thing. I was fortunate enough to get a deal from 1000 Toys in Japan, who, their company has changed quite a bit and quite a few people have left. But at that time, they were making the best product that's out there. They're still making great product, but that core team was insane. It was like, they were on such an incredible hot streak. And we were just friends. We just kind of hung out at DesignerCon and everywhere else. We went out to karaoke. That's a good business secret. If you want to do business with Japanese people, go out to karaoke, embarrass yourself. It really endears you to them. And shockingly, they were obsessed with the look of the Night of the Slice, and they embarked on making these wonderful figures. And I think they still hold up. They've long since been sold out of my stock, but I think they're incredible. It's beyond flattering. I still think about it to this day, and it's an unbelievable thing.
Yeah, those are beautiful figures. I in some ways, they have something almost even more appealing than those were based on the synthetic human, right?
Right.
So in some ways, the Knights of the Slice ones, or the Toy Pizza ones, were kind of I don't know, they had a little something more visually appealing to me than the regular synthetic humans.
I think it's those are really good expressions of the artistic sensibilities of Japanese artists, right? There is a gracefulness to them. There is a specific silhouette that you see echoed in, whether it's Yoshitaka Amano's artwork or Katsu Terada. It's hard to describe, but there's a flow to figures like that. And I think it sort of brought out the best of my character designs to see it kind of, covered like that. I see a comment from Kirby Smith. He's mentioning Rex Ganon. I think Kirby's a real OG collector. That is, Rex Ganon was my first sort of independent toy creation. And this had to have been 20 years ago, if not to the date. And
Wow.
It was made by Plan B Toys. I was obsessed with Resaurus when I was in high school. And, I met the Plan B guys. I just started hounding them. And I was like, can I do a figure? Can I do a head? Can I do I'll give you any amount of money, whatever you need. And They did. They for some reason gave me the keys of the kingdom and made this character for me, and I had to buy like 5,000 of them. I still have 4,900 of them in my basement. But it was incredible, and I was just a bullshitter. I was just an intern at that point. I had no connection. I had no juice, but I think they saw the enthusiasm of it and decided to go along with it. So I guess technically that is a 6-inch figure also. So maybe maybe it is my roots after all.
So you've got a new crowdfund going on
I do.
now. What's that one all about?
This is super important. If I can convince anybody to even glance at this, it will make my day. I've done about 8 crowdfunding campaigns, some on Kickstarter, some privately, and thankfully, touch wood, I have a big enough following that I can kind of fund these things privately, so I don't have to take the cut that Kickstarter take out. But right. I'm not getting the same visibility as I would on a Kickstarter platform. But for quite a few years now, this has been a complete independent operation. No bosses, no overlords. It's just me making what I want to make, and more importantly, what the fans sort of want to support. So this handsome gentleman here is Cray Jake, and the Sea of Daggers is kind of the chapter of this story. Cray is my oldest character creation. Like, I would imagine him in scenarios when I was bored as a kid. Like, what would Cray do? I think we all had like imaginary friends and alter egos, and mm-hmm. And so this is essentially, I kind of get a kick out of tackling specific genres in action figure collecting. So I've done like medieval knights. I've done cavemen with big obsidian swords. I've done mechanical ninjas. I've done space cowboys. So now I'm going to get into piracy. Okay, so this is my version of what a 4-inch pirate line would look like. And so the Sea of Daggers, we have a bunch of different options. And granted, I know this is a tall ask, right? Because I'm not really showing a ton of stuff. I'm asking people to give me a lot of money and hope that I deliver something to them at some point in the future, right? But I do have a good track record of fulfilling every pre-order I've ever had, and usually early too. So what we're trying to do is to follow in the path of, maybe would the video work if you click on that? It's
this one right here?
Yeah. I should just let that do the explaining, okay?
Okay, let's watch.
It is time to ship out into the Sea of Daggers. Toy Pizza is proud to present our next project as a follow-up to the much-loved Gauss armor. The Sea of Daggers is a new chapter in the world of the Jagged Age. Our protagonist, Cray Drake, is embarking on a dangerous journey across the sea, but he doesn't have to go at it alone. Every tier that we unlock will bring a brand new figure onto the crew. There are multiple options to support this independent toy creation campaign. You can start at the $60 Bilge Rat level. That will net you 2 figures. Our most popular offering will no doubt be the Deckhand tier at $200, which gets you an instant crew of 6 figures and 2 accessory packs. If you are a high roller on the high seas, perhaps the Captain tier may strike your fancy. $500, you get to create your own Card Slicer card, an exclusive prototype color figure, and all the rewards from the previous tier. For the select few that truly see the calling of this ambitious project and want to do the maximum level of support, there is the Grand Admiral tier. For $1,500, you will design your own style of figure. Now, this is limited to the paint deco, but it will be no less special of an event. In addition, you will get all of the previous tier rewards and a test shot figure. These are super rare. I don't often put those out into circulation, but but you will get one, and you will get it months before anybody else gets their hands on this figure. As I said before, Cray is not alone here. The additional passengers on this ship will be determined by how much money we raise. Cray is the first goal at $20,000. Shortly after that, at $25,000, we have a very excellent accessory kit that actually turns Cray into a brand new character that you will meet very soon. At $35,000, the single most requested figure since I've been doing this is, of course, a Glyos compatible Hob. That is on the docket. If we can get that tier unlocked, Hob and Cray sailing the sea of Daggers together. We have other major goals set up for 50,000, 65,000, and 80,000K. Each of these will be a character that has been long gestating in the world of Knights of the Slice, but for whatever reason was not able to make it as an unlock in previous campaigns. But that's not all. I have plenty of surprises. I have plenty of additional accessories that will be unlocked intermittently throughout the entire campaign. Keep in mind, the different styles that will ship with the full crew set depends on how many different figures get unlocked throughout the campaign. I also have bonus surprises that everybody will receive for backing this independent campaign in its early stage. Before I sign off and ship out, I just want to thank everybody for taking a look at this campaign. I am 8 years into making Knights of the Slice figures. I am 20 plus years into my career in the toy industry, and the fact that we are able to independently fundraise and create figures that have no business existing in the marketplace is nothing short of a phenomenon. And I thank everybody for their support. We have no overlords, we have no bosses. I get to make what I want, and you guys get to play with it. And that is an incredible experience in this day and age. So thank you for your consideration. Thank you for your previous support. Let's make the Sea of Daggers a legendary project. Pizza out.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Look at that.
Now, do you always refer to yourself as Pizza?
We just say pizza out. I'm not sure where that got started. I think it was a 30 Rock joke with Ryan Seacrest where you would say Seacrest out.
Oh, okay.
And I think it just
That makes sense.
but in any case, zooming out here, as we touched on earlier, there's a lot of like the same old in this hobby. There's a lot of just going through the motions, going to Target every week, picking something off the shelf. It collects dust. It's not meaningful. You forget it. The one thing I am trying to cultivate here is a sense of surprise. Like I so vividly remember going into Child World at Hamden, Connecticut, and seeing for the first time Slash. No idea there was an evil turtle. There was no live stream, 6 months ago with pre-order links. It was like a genuine moment that I will never forget because it was surprising. I was like obsessed with that character. I wanted to know more. I wanted to read lore about him. I started drawing fan art of him. And that is completely gone and completely devoid from toy making in this day and age, with the exception of like Four Horsemen and Onell, obviously. What I'm trying to do is get surprise back into it. So it's an insane proposal. You give me hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands of dollars, and possibly by the end of next year, I'm going to ship you something that, hey, maybe you like, maybe you don't like. I don't know. It's a complete leap of faith. But the anticipation of that, on the Patreon, there is a incredibly detailed step-by-step process. So just today I posted photos of the accessories and the weapons that are going to be going with this character. And there's, rotating GIFs. There's my early sketches. There's rough sculpts of it. It is like incredibly detail-oriented and nuanced. And my patrons are getting just a granular look at the process of toy making that is not available anywhere else, right? So I'm trying to like inject some life and some just some meaning into this this craft. And not for nothing, but 3 people signed up for the $1,500 tier, right? And those are going to be my ride along guest designers, and they're getting to see everything. We're bouncing artwork back and forth, and I'm taking them through how Pantone colors work and what types of plastic do which things better. And, many people won't ever get to design a toy or go to China or see a production line, but they can kind of have a small piece of that. And this exorbitant fee that I charge, that all gets poured into the campaign and to the characters and accessories and additional things. So, you know, it's absurd at face value. It's insane. I understand that. It is insanity that I ask this kind of money from people, but it has worked in the past. This campaign is on a really good clip right now. I think we're more than halfway there. So we're definitely going to hit the first tier. It's a question of how far we get after that. But this is the sort of unique and insane little bit of chaos that I'm trying to inject into this world. And, you know, people seem to respond to it. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
When did this start?
This started on, was it Monday?
Wow.
Sunday or Monday? And I have not yet done a big public facing of this. This has largely been just my Patreons who have backed it, and I've been communicating with. I see the sort of coming out party of this campaign is going to be Saturday at Game of Hope. I have like flyers and stickers and I think a prototype. And then the sort of tail end of this is going to be LegionsCon. The campaign ends a few days after that. So really the campaign is running from Saturday until LegionsCon. This is just what my Fedakeen, like my Royal Guard have been able to put together. And I think that that's significant. This is 40
awesome.
people, right? I have like around 250 patrons. This is a tiny amount of people that are really, really passionate about doing this. And together we're able to do something that's kind of impossible, you know? So it's very exciting for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
There's a little side convo going on about Child World and Caldor, and
I mean,
I was a Child World kid. Child World in West Springfield was my my toy store, and I also went to Caldor quite a bit as well.
Yeah, I remember Caldor a lot.
You can get the pretzels at Caldor. Guys, we're fucking old, man. This is it's terrible. Somebody said if you pledge 200 and say only 3 figures are unlocked, do you get doubles of figures? This is a great question. My scientific answer is I don't know. No. Typically what I've done in the past is we do like a mix and match. Now, there's additional accessories and other things that are being tooled outside of this campaign that will apply to this campaign, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like, I have other stuff that will go in to kind of fill out this $200 tier. In the worst case scenario that we only unlock 1 figure, there's going to be a lot of variety in there. But the other thing, typically what I do with these big group sets are the majority of my fans love to get material styles, unpainted figures, right? Because there's a ton of customization that happens within Glyos. So those are very sought after. So typically like a 6-pack of figures would have like 2 or 3 unpainted styles, which kind of are on the rarer side and become something that, you know, go for a higher price point in the secondary market if you happen to be a speculator, which, you know, it's neither. Yeah, you know, if you are, God bless. It's, you know, there's better returns on your money. Just buy Lego if you're looking to, like, you know, double your money.
Cool.
So yeah, just give me your money, guys. I want the money. Give me the money.
I got to say, we here at the DORKLAIR have a pretty good track record of when we have guests on who are running Kickstarters. I don't think we've ever had a guest on whose Kickstarter or crowdfunding campaign has, you know, failed or anything like that. So
yeah,
good.
My numbers just went down.
Good luck.
Yeah, people are canceling orders. No, yeah. Look, you know, if anything I said like sparks interest, I don't even think you necessarily need to back the campaign, but come and see my Patreon. You can sign up for free. Come get integrated into the Discord, meet the community. Like, you know, what I really like is I think that generally all of my customers, and certainly the people on the Discord message board, they're all highly creative and they're all very curious. You know, I think curiosity is kind of missing from this hobby as well.
Yeah.
Like, we're just kind of going through the paces. We're not like trying to do things differently. But, you know, a lot of my followers are creative types, and they may not know how to get to that step of making a comic book or sculpting in resin or, you know, kit bashing something. And together you're kind of able to find other people that are experts at those things that can help your projects. We've had a lot of people that have, you know, just started with wanting to learn how to make toys into like doing their own resin releases. Several of my Squires of the Slice have contributed to pieces that have become production pieces and have, you know, whether it's like paint masters or actual sculpted items that have gone into real figures. So it's sort of a unique, I mean, this happens within the, you know, Legionnaires. Is that what we settled on? Legionnaires? Legionnaires.
Maybe.
You know, it happens obviously there too, but that's the kind of stuff that like is really interesting to me. It's like, how do we also help other people kind of tackle creative things? How do we like from amongst the community? Okay, who's good at graphic design? Who could do a logo for this project? Who's good at, you know, drawing a comic? You know, and there's this great kind of synergy, and all of this to me is the antidote to just being tired with the offerings of this modern world. I mean, there's endless streaming options. Endless shitty movies starring Chris Hemsworth that I've never heard of before that cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Like we are, as a culture, we have too much of everything, and therefore nothing has any value. Nothing's exciting. We're just like chewing on gray ash all the time. The antidote to that is individual creators. You know, it is not big Hollywood putting out the same trash over and over again. It is like unique outsider art and having a kind of community that can cultivate that, because those are the important ideas. We've sort of, the franchise is everything, so we have not created anything new, you know, in a very long time. And I'm trying to be a counterpoint to what I see as, you know, this big sort of weight that's just, you know, keeping us stuck in a loop. It's just 80s movies over and over again. Just, you know, is there a new Ghostbusters? Like, there's a new Ghostbusters. Okay.
Yeah. For me, it's like reading is my cure for that. Like, it's just,
yeah,
like it definitely does feel like there's just nothing. There's so much to watch or consume or whatever that it's like there's almost nothing. And it's like I just want to read like a good book. You know, like that's kind of where my mindset has been lately.
I think you know, there's a general malaise out there, and I think about pre-pandemic, right? We had 2 Marvel films a year, we had a Star Wars film every year, and we had 1-day shipping, right? Things were ramping up into this crazy abundance that nobody could do anything with. And the pandemic kind of fragmented that and gave us time to stop and think, but we're sort of like just falling back into that more,
which is this big letdown. Because I remember, like, even just being a teacher during the pandemic, which was just horrible, there were some pretty cool things that we were doing with the remote learning and the scheduling specifically. And it was like kind of eye-opening, like having flex block time, because having things be remote, this is like a total tangent, but like this just like kind of the big idea here, like, but having things be remote, you could be very creative with the way you spent your time. And so they had like a flex block time where students could pop in and out of whatever teacher's, you know, digital class or e-class, whatever you want to call it. And then like there was all this hype about like, yep, when this is all over, we're going to really change things up and like it's going to really change the world. And nope, nothing. Yeah. It literally, they were like, let's just go right back to the schedule we had before.
Right.
That reflects that whole idea.
I think, I mean, I view the world now as pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, but also 20th century and 21st century, right? Because we're still thinking with 20th century minds. We still we're doing the same things. We're still working 9-to-5 jobs. Clearly, that's not necessary. We're still like we are really stuck in this kind of terminal cycle. And so to me, conditions are sort of worsening, right? I think that's a fair statement. The conditions are worsening in the world. There's a lot of bad shit going on. But that also puts us in free fall. And that means that change can actually happen. We can start adapting to the fact we're in a new century. There are new concerns. There are new like environmental concerns we have to deal with, right?
Yeah.
So all this is to say that I kind of am rejecting how things have been. And a lot of that is like, I'm just not interested in what's on streaming. I'm just not interested in, you know, the next Marvel Legends figure. I'm just not interested in the next Star Wars figure. Like, I want something new so badly. I think all of us do. And I see my effort creatively, mostly in toys, but also music and wherever else. I see that as like me trying to beat back the tide with a broom, you know, just like I'm going to try to do something unique, something interesting, something that can like shake us out of this. Whether or not I'm successful is, you know, besides the point, I think.
Yeah. And I think a lot of this kind of goes back to some early statements, but a lot of the people in this chat will get a chance like to see like this Glyos world at LegionsCon, because there's like quite a few people who watch the show who are going to LegionsCon. So like kind of like last year, it wasn't on my radar really, and I didn't really go over and spend much time at the Glyos tables and, you know, that whole area. So like that's absolutely going to change this year. And I recommend, you know, folks who are watching who might not be on your radar too much now to head over to that area. And we've got Bat Bomb here with the $5. We always need more Glyos talk and more exposure of Glyos artists. These are the creators that the toy collecting world needs to know more about. Yes, Bat Bomb. He's designed some Glyos figures with what is the name of the oh geez, I can't remember the name of it, but these guys here. This is like my favorite one of these.
Oh yeah, the wrestler guys. Yeah,
it's cool. I'm trying to remember the name of the company. Bat Bomb will let us know.
Spy Monkey.
Spy Monkey, that's right.
Yeah, the Battle Tribes.
Yeah. Yep. So
wait, is LegionsCon is 2 weeks away?
Yes. Yeah. 2 weeks from
right around.
I mean, G-Con is 2 weeks from tomorrow, and LegionsCon is 2 weeks from Saturday.
Oh my God. All right. Well, I better drink a Red Bull.
Just stay up. Don't go back to sleep. Nate Strong in the house. What's up, dude? November 11th and 12th. I'm pumped because like this stretch right now for me work-wise, like October to November, like the whole month of October, there's not a lot of days off, and it's like the first big like heavy load of just like school. Coming out of that into LegionsCon is almost like the kickoff to the easy times of like November, lots of days off, December, lots of days off, like that like stretch of awesomeness of the work year.
Do you have a sort of like a holiday ritual? Like I like to, after Thanksgiving Day, I like to put on the first Lord of the Rings, the extended edition. And then I just kind of like slowly watch those films leading up to Christmas. You know, just kind of 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Fall asleep during most of it. I do not watch The Hobbit. That is not on the playlist. But do you have any unique ritual like that?
I mean, we do watch Christmas movies throughout. Yeah. Like my wife and I and my daughter will watch. You know, we'll put Christmas movies on. One like real true, like not strict but very like consistent ritual that we have is the day after Thanksgiving, either the Friday or typically the Saturday. We get our Christmas tree. Like that's the day we get a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
In terms of movie watching, I have a weird one, but I like to kind of watch the Iron Man movies and like kind of finish it off, kind of because one of them is like has like Christmas stuff going on in it, and for some reason I just
three.
Iron Man 3, yeah. And for some reason I don't know, I just enjoy that kind of like light I don't know. I like the Iron Man movies, and it's just something I tend to do in the holidays. And the night I wrap presents for my kid, I come downstairs and you have to hide away because, well, she's probably about due to stop believing in Santa, but
well, if she watches this live stream, she's going to figure it out.
Yeah, she doesn't. Trust me. She watches a lot of YouTube, but she does not care about this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's when I watch Iron Man 3. When that one's on is usually when I'm wrapping presents.
Gotcha.
How about you, Chris? Do you have any rituals?
It's probably cliche, but I like to watch Die Hard around Christmas.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Christmas movie. But you bring up Lord of the Rings, like that's I know they're not Christmas movies, but they came out around Christmas.
Right.
So I always remember them being like that's around the holiday time.
Oh yeah, totally.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's really cemented, and obviously my first job was working on the Lord of the Rings figures that George was making at Gentle Giant, and then my job after that was working for New Line Cinema on Lord of the Rings as on the licensing side of things. So
awesome.
It's always had a really just it's deeply embedded in my DNA. I tried watching one episode of the Amazon series and it's not for me. I don't know who that's for. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I watched it, but it didn't resonate too much with me. Like I can't barely remember it at this point. Yeah. But there was a little stretch of time where I don't even think we're married yet at the time, but my wife and I would put on New Year's morning. We would put on Lord of the Rings extended editions. We would just wake up in the morning and then we would just put them on and let them play all day and hang out and watch them and pause just to grab some lunch, but just kind of have it on.
They're not summer movies. That's there's a feeling to them where it's you need sort of coziness. You need blankets. You need you're going to fall asleep for half of it. Right. The Swedes call it a flumgit. I think it's just a feeling we can't express in English,
There was I forget what year, it might've been maybe 10 years ago or so when I forget the name of the company, but they do special movie events and they did the extended editions. They did them Wednesdays for 3 weeks in a row back on the big screen. And it was playing at the big Boston theater, the big Boston AMC. And that was incredible. That was so cool to just go so many years later, right? Over a decade. Maybe it was a 10-year anniversary or something. And to go back in the cinema, in a packed cinema, and just all fans to just go watch it again. And they spread it out over 3 weeks, so it wasn't at this massive commitment or anything. But that was really neat.
Yeah. Yeah, these are all kind of memories from the end of history, right? It all it all changed pretty soon after that.
Yeah. Or are we just old and we just sort of look back and with our happy youth?
I wrestle with that, right? How much of everybody feels alienation eventually, right? It's a rite of passage. But I do think pre 9/11, things were a little bit better for the average American than say where we are today, and kind of those movies were, I think 89 they started principal photography, right? So it's right at the end of this this reality that we have. That was one of the last things that got made before the grim meat hooks of reality, as Hunter S. Thompson came to bear.
Yeah, and that was very formative years for me. I graduated college in 99. Mm-hmm. So that's right in that time of just my very early adulthood right there.
Yeah. My first week of college was 9/11. So that was right there. The beginning and the end, it's a real division of my life there.
Yeah. Right. Hey, Chad, if you got any favorite 9/11 memories, just load them up on there. Give us an emoji. Let us know. What were you doing on 9/11? We're here talking toys. Please back my campaign.
I spend my days with dozens of people every single day who were not around. My students are, they're in their teens. They that's a ancient history to them. That's, to us, what would that be? Like Vietnam War, or something like that,
Yeah. Which it's time is staggering to me because I think of like 1968, right? All the assassinations of all these leaders, all the uprisings, all the riots and everything. That was 12 years before I was born, right? But it felt like that might have been the 1800s.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's an acceleration of time that is, quite perplexing, I think. Anyway, back my campaign. Buy toys, guys. Yes. Let us know in the comments any fond 9/11 memories.
Yes. Any Vietnam vets around.
Have you picked a side between Ukraine and Russia? Let us know in the chat. I like them both, personally. Anyway, so.
I was home bleeding internally while reading Nintendo Power.
There we go. A wonderful 9/11 memory from Lewis. Thank you, Lewis. Anybody else have internal bleeding on 9/11? Let us know. Hit up the hotline. We're taking live calls.
Looks like Chris is going to bed. Good night.
Also, there was a guy, Kirby, in the chat earlier. He left, and I was like, I wonder if that's Kirby. And it was a fellow RTMer, which was toybuzz.com. This was like one of the first toy message boards. This was like, I want to say 1995, 96.
Wow.
And it's so funny to see that guy still pop up. And, it's wonderful.
That's wild. I barely knew that the internet even existed when I was in high school.
Yeah, it was a good time. Whatever happened to the internet? Well, nobody's ever on it anymore.
Yeah, right.
Let us know in the comments. Do you guys use the internet?
Do you remember the internet?
Tracy.
I have to get going, guys. I don't mean to cut it short.
Yeah, I think
that's good.
We should probably wrap it up anyway. We're just kind of
I've been very more than lenient.
I'll see you later, Chris.
Okay, you're enough.
And then we'll wrap this thing up.
Guys, Chris has passed. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. He got vaccinated and died. Rest in peace. He's joining Larry on a cloud. They're playing harps. Really, really tragic day. Lost 2.
KJ says that was on a very long, hard bender.
Okay, we got internal bleeding. We got long, hard bender. Anybody else? 9/11 memories. I was on I-95 coming back from Fort Lauderdale, noticing that there were no cars on the road and no planes in the sky. Wonderful time.
All right. Well, Jesse, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said earlier, like all of the Toy Pizza, Knights of the Slice, the Patreon, like all those links are down in the comments below. Everybody, I encourage you to go kind of explore this, check out, the world of Glyos. If you came later in the stream, rewatch the beginning part of the stream. Jesse kind of gave a nice little primer on Glyos and that whole world. And I thank you very much. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Oh, KJ, I look forward to seeing you on Saturday. That'll be a lot of fun. Thank you for having me. This is great. I'm saying all this stuff anyway at this time of night just to myself, and it's echoing through the high ceilings here. So it's nice to actually bounce it off another human being. Doesn't sound so crazy that way.
Yeah. Alrighty. I'm not sure if we're going to go live again before LegionsCon. So next Thursday would be the next opportunity, because the following Thursday I'll actually be already out of town on LegionsCon. But there might be like waves of Mythic Legions coming in, or actually the Cosmic Legions 2 wave, I think, is the next thing. And if that comes in, I will probably spend quite a lot of time on that. And so I'm not sure if I'm going to get to another live stream next week, maybe, but it'll probably be like a chill stream and like not a lot of prep or anything like that. But if not, I hope to see everybody at LegionsCon. I can't wait. I will try to make it this Saturday.
Yeah, it'd be great to shake your hand in person.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and until next time.
Follow me.